Late night bites with friends? Already hard to beat. That first too hot bite of fries you couldn't wait for, followed by ice cold Pepsi. Now that hits different. Suddenly, the energy kicks back in, the night goes longer, and the laughs don't stop. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
When it's time to scale your business, it's time for Shopify. Get everything you need to grow the way you want. Like, all the way. Stack more sales with the best converting checkout on the planet. Track your cha-chings from every channel, right in one spot. And turn real-time reporting into big-time opportunities. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
You know, imagine you're sitting in front of this massive audio mixing board.
Oh, yeah. Like dozens of sliders everywhere.
Exactly. You have all these sliders right at your fingertips. And if you push one up, a single instrument just totally dominates the track. But if you pull it down...
that sound just vanishes.
Right. It completely vanishes. Even though the musician is still, you're right there on stage playing their heart out. When you're trying to understand the world, the question isn't really just what music is being played.
It's about who is actually sitting at the mixing board.
Exactly. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today is Sunday, August 16th, 2026. And we are unpacking a really intense slate of escalating student protests, political showdowns over national symbols, some newly declassified military strikes, and
some absolutely historic upsets on the cricket pitch.
Yeah, it's a packed board today.
It really is. And, you know, because you are constantly being presented with all this conflicting information, our goal today is to strip away that noise. We want to look at exactly what the sources are telling us, figure out how these mechanisms actually work, and, well, see which sliders are being pushed up, which ones are being muted, and why that actually matters to you.
So let's start with a situation where the volume is just getting dangerously loud right now. According to reporting from The Hindu, student protests in Jharkhand have now stretched into their 23rd consecutive day in Ranchi.
23 days. That is a long time to sustain a protest.
It is. And the core issue here is a demand for a Central Bureau of Investigation probe into alleged irregularities in the JPSC and JSSC recruitment exams. But the temperature really spiked recently because protesters actually burned effigies of Chief Minister Hemant Soren and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi.
Oh, wow. Where did that happen?
Right at the Jitpal Singh Stadium.
See, that is a massive escalation from just standard picketing. You have to look at the mechanics of the pressure campaign here. The protesters are claiming that Congress previously promised to withdraw support from the ruling coalition if their demands weren't met by August 15th.
Which obviously didn't happen.
Right, it didn't. So now you've got leaders like Ravindra Paswan setting a strict new deadline of August 18th, and they're threatening to literally physically encircle the chief minister's residence on August 20th if it's ignored.
And what's fascinating is how the political establishment is reacting to that ticking clock. Because you have completely contrasting strategies playing out at the exact same time.
Yeah, totally split.
Right. On one track, you have government officials like Subdivisional Officer Kumar Rashid meeting with protesters, desperately trying to de-escalate. They're trying to schedule a fourth round of talks for August 17th.
Yeah, trying to turn the volume down. But on the other track, you have opposition leader Babilal Marandi actively amplifying the chaos.
He's pushing the slider all the way up.
Exactly. He took that video of the effigy burning and just broadcasted it across X. He's claiming it's, undeniable proof of the government's total failure regarding these alleged job-selling scams. It's basically a race to control the public narrative before that August 18th deadline forces a physical confrontation.
Moving straight from state-level political deadlines to a national-level clash over political symbolism. The Hindu is also reporting on a rapidly escalating controversy surrounding the national song, Vande Mataram.
This one got out of hand so fast.
It really did. So Amit Shah was speaking at a public event in Chittorgarh and made a very specific allegation. He claimed that Sonia Gandhi gestured to Mallikarjun Kharge to stop the singing of the song during Independence Day celebrations at the AICC headquarters.
And, you might be thinking this is just standard, everyday political theater, just politicians taking shots, but the mechanics of the law have completely changed recently.
Right, the new act.
Yeah. Under the newly passed Prevention of Insults to National Honor Amendment Act 2026, attempting to stop the singing of Vande Mataram is now a punishable criminal offense.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I have this totally straight. Under this 2026 Act, A disputed hand gesture from Sonia Gandhi can literally be treated as grounds for a criminal investigation.
Precisely. The song has essentially been given a legal status equivalent to the national anthem. And just look at the speed of the fallout. Within hours, you had cross-state police complaints being filed by BJP leaders in both Karnataka and New Delhi.
Wow.
Yeah. So now the Congress is forced to fight this two-front defense. You have K.C. Venugopal insisting it was purely a communication issue, arguing their respect for the song is absolute.
But then Jairam Ramesh takes a completely different angle.
Right, he's calling the entire accusation a calculated political diversion. It really shows you how a subtle physical movement can instantly be weaponized under this new legislation. It's something to really consider about how national symbols are being used in political messaging right now.
And we are seeing that exact same tension between what the state officially claims and what is actually caught on the record playing out in the streets of the capital, too. Hindustan Times is reporting on Rahul Gandhi's recent meeting with students who are alleging severe police violence during the July 20th NEET U protests at Jantar Mantar.
And the allegations are just brutal.
They are. We're talking baton charges, verbal abuse. There's one student claiming sexual assault by a police officer, and another who actually required surgery after taking a pellet gun injury to the ear.
This is where that mixing board analogy really comes back into play, because the official government narrative is trying to completely mute the reality on the ground. The state maintains that absolutely no firing occurred on July 20th. None.
But the paper trail says otherwise. Hindustan Times actually cited a general diary entry from the Parliament Street police station.
The internal log.
Exactly. In that specific official log, a Rapid Action Force deputy commander explicitly recorded that at least 2 rounds of pellets were used. And allegedly, this was on the direct orders of a Delhi police deputy superintendent.
So how does accountability even function when the government's press releases are directly contradicted by their own police station logs?
It's a huge contradiction.
Yeah, they're pushing up the official denial slider and trying to pull the police log slider all the way down. And you see this power dynamic in how they handle individual protesters, too.
Like the 15-year-old girl.
Right, the case of Ruchika Singh. She was booked for allegedly abusing the prime minister during these protests, but then the complaint was suddenly withdrawn after she issued an apology.
It sends a really chilling message.
It does. It shows the youth the limits of dissent and how quickly the state will deploy force and then just deny it ever happened.
And when the state can't mute the dissent, it seems they try to just rebrand it entirely. NDTV reports on the ongoing fallout from the Prime Minister's Independence Day address. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju has stepped in to defend the PM's use of a very specific term, Dimaji Naxals.
That is a heavy phrase.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Intellectual Naxals.
Right. And Rijiju tried to put a box around it, right? He stated the term doesn't mean all political opposition. He gave this highly specific definition, saying it only applies to people who support Maoists, or people who stand with separatists backing Article 370, or those who advocate for cutting off the chicken's neck.
That narrow 22-kilometer-wide land corridor in West Bengal.
Exactly, the one that connects the Northeast to the rest of India.
But the opposition isn't letting the government set those boundaries. P. Chidambaram immediately fired back. He publicly declared that he is, quote, proud to be a Dimaji Naxal.
Which is a pretty brilliant, if risky, rhetorical move.
It really is, because by doing that, Chidambaram is completely rejecting Rijiju's narrow definition. He's framing the prime minister's words as a blanket attack on all ideological opposition.
And this matters to you because of the vocabulary being used here.
Exactly. Naxal is a term traditionally reserved for armed, violent insurgents. People the state has actively fought and killed. When you take that militarized vocabulary and apply it to ideological debates, you really blur the line between a violent security threat and just a dissenting democratic opinion.
It's a dangerous precedent.
Very dangerous.
Now, while politicians are debating the terminology of violence in the capital, that line between law enforcement and fatal force has actually ruptured down south. According to the New Indian Express, a deadly clash over jurisdiction has taken place.
This is a really tragic situation.
It is. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Vijay is demanding a high-level probe into the deaths of 3 Tamil men, Anthony Sammy, John Rose Peter, and Kumar. They were shot and killed by the Karnataka Forest Department inside the Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary.
And the narratives here are entirely fractured. The stakes for cross-border relations are incredibly high right now. The Karnataka officials, who are backed by their state home minister, are steadfast in their claim that these men were poachers.
Right, they say the men were caught carrying guns and deer meat.
But that is heavily contested by the only person who made it out alive.
Mahima Das.
Exactly. The sole survivor, Mahima Das, along with the victims' grieving families, vehemently insist they were simply unarmed farmers. They say they had just crossed the border searching for lost cattle.
And the political pressure building from Tamil Nadu is massive. You have DMK President M.K. Stalin and PMK Zambu Mani Ramdos demanding full murder charges against the forest officials. They want CBI probes, and they're demanding 1 crore rupees in compensation for each family.
It takes what might have been a localized tragedy in a forest and instantly turns it into this massive interstate flashpoint over policing practices and jurisdiction.
It's fascinating how strictly rules and boundaries are fought over when lives are on the line, versus how flexible they become in internal party politics. Shifting to some internal fractures, Times of India reports on a widening rift within the Punjab Congress over their one family, one ticket rule.
Yeah, ahead of the assembly elections.
Right. MP Sukhchinder Singh Randhawa has publicly gone to war against State Unit Chief Amrinder Singh Raja Waring over this exact policy.
Which is causing a massive headache for the high command. Randhawa was actually speaking at an event with former Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Charani, and he flat out argued that if family members are capable of winning, they shouldn't just get 1 ticket. He said they should get, quote, not only 2, but 4 tickets.
Wow. Directly defying Rahul Gandhi's mandate.
Directly defying it.
No.
And Waring has sworn to uphold that exact mandate.
You really have to appreciate the irony here, which was immediately pointed out by political opponents. BJP's Ravneet Singh Bitu stepped up and pointed out the glaring inconsistency at the very top of the Congress party itself.
How about the Gandhis?
Yeah. He noted that Sonia Gandhi holds a Rajya Sabha seat, while Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi both hold Lok Sabha roles.
It's the ultimate do as I say, not as I do scenario. How can a state unit effectively enforce a restrictive anti-nepotism rule that its own national leaders allegedly ignore?
It's a tough sell.
It is. But beyond the hypocrisy, this exposes severe factional tensions just simmering below the surface in Punjab. This isn't really about ticket distribution, honestly. It's a proxy war between Waring's camp and supporters of Chani, who desperately want Chani projected as the undisputed chief ministerial face.
Those internal hypocrisies are one thing, but looking beyond our borders, it gets incredibly complicated when you apply them to high-stakes diplomacy. Deccan Herald reports that Bangladesh is playing a very hard game of leverage right now.
A very hard game.
Yeah, they've explicitly linked a potential visit to New Delhi by Prime Minister Tariq Rahman directly to the extradition of former Premier Sheikh Hasina.
This is a diplomatic tightrope with absolutely no safety net. Prime Minister Rahman met with Indian High Commissioner Dinesh Trivedi on August 10th. And right afterward, Bangladesh's foreign ministry put out a statement saying India must create a, quote, propitious environment for the visit.
Propitious environment. That's diplomatic code, right?
Oh, completely.
Okay.
It's diplomatic code for give us Hasina or we might skip the upcoming September BRICS summit.
And the mechanics of why Bangladesh is so angry are tied directly to New Delhi. The relationship severely soured after Sheikh Hasina held a virtual press conference from New Delhi on August 5th, where she vowed to return to Bangladesh to restore democracy.
Which was just a massive provocation to the new government. Remember, Hasina was ousted in August 2024, and by November 2025, she was handed a death sentence in absentia by a special tribunal.
A death sentence.
Yeah. So the new BNP government in Dhaka is outraged. They officially labeled her an absconding, convicted genocider. Now, India maintains it had no role in facilitating her press conference and points out that extradition requests have to follow strict legal procedures.
But how?
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Does India actually navigate those legal protocols? Because you're dealing with a former staunch ally who India protected for years, who is now the primary target of the new neighboring government.
And adding to the irony, India has actually agreed to process the extradition of suspects linked to a student leader's killing in Bangladesh.
Oh, so they are showing Dhaka that the extradition mechanisms do work.
Exactly. It's purely the political will regarding Hasina that is the sticking point here.
Well, regional tensions aren't just diplomatic. As a new documentary reveals, they can involve massive military standoffs. And this next story is genuinely jaw-dropping. CNBC TV18 summarizes the claims from a newly released Discovery documentary called Declassified, Operation Sindoor.
This whole story is just wild.
It is. The film reveals that on May 10th, 2025, Pakistan fired a high-speed missile specifically targeted toward Delhi.
Let's just pause on that for a second. A nuclear-armed neighbor fired a missile directly at the capital city.
Right. It was intercepted over Sirsa, Haryana at 1:30 in the morning. And India's retaliation was incredibly swift and massive. Within hours, India launched BrahMos cruise missiles, striking 11 Pakistani air bases, including Rafiki, Sukur, and Sargodha.
The sheer scale of this revelation is staggering, especially when you look at how the government controlled the flow of information. Back when this happened, the Ministry of Defense did disclose that an attack occurred, but they pointedly, deliberately omitted the detail that Delhi was the target.
They pulled that slider all the way down to zero.
Exactly. And the documentary also breaks down the frantic back-channel diplomacy that prevented a full-scale regional war. You had Pakistan's army chief, Asim Munir, getting on the phone with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
And then Rubio routed the call to India's External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar.
Right. But India refused to negotiate through intermediaries. They insisted on using official military channels. That led to a 3:30 p.m. call between the Directors General of Military Operations. And amazingly, by 5:30 p.m., they had hammered out a ceasefire.
It forces you to wonder if a direct missile threat to the capital city can be successfully hidden from the public for over a year, what other details of this massive confrontation or just national security in general are being completely kept from us?
Kept out of the mix entirely, yeah.
Well, from geopolitical strikes, let's move to strikes on the cricket pitch. CricBuzz reports on a grinding, really frustrating day 2 of the galley test between India and Sri Lanka. Persistent rain delays severely limited play to just 43 overs.
It was a tough watch.
Very tough. But when the teams did manage to get on the field, the momentum swung sharply away from India. Devdutt Padikkal, who had established total control, finally fell for 138. He was stumped off Prabhat Jayasuriya. KL Rahul fell for 82. And ultimately, India lost 4 wickets for just 70 runs in the final 15 overs of the day.
The pitch mechanics and tactical adjustments here are fascinating. Consider Padikkal's journey first. He endured a massive 260-day gap between his first 2 tests, and then an excruciating 631-day gap before this one.
Wow, that is a long time waiting in the wings.
Yeah, and he was completely locked in. But you have to look at how Sri Lanka fought back. The Sri Lankan spinners, particularly Jayasuriya and debutant Nuwantha Kishara, beautifully utilized the extra bounce on this surface. Shubman Gill actually came out and compared this galley pitch to the red soil of Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium.
Which is notoriously bouncy.
It's highly bouncy.
And the weather played a huge tactical role too, didn't it?
Absolutely. The rain delays didn't just slow the game down, they compressed the momentum. India wanted to maintain their flowing rhythm from day one. But the start-stop nature of the day allowed Sri Lanka to repeatedly rest, reset their fields, exploit that extra Wankhede-style bounce, and force errors.
It completely changed the complexion of the match.
It really did.
While the galley match crawls through the rain, we just saw a rapid, historic upset conclude in Darwin. The Indian Express reports that Bangladesh has secured a stunning 8-wicket victory over Australia.
Unbelievable result.
Let this sink in. This is Bangladesh's first test win on Australian soil in 23 years. The foundation was laid by Tanzid Hassan scoring a brilliant century and a devastating 6-wicket haul by Seamer Hassan Mahmud. And all this unfolded after Australian captain Pat Cummins won the toss and chose to bowl first.
The implications for the World Test Championship math are massive here. Before this match, Australia looked completely unassailable at the top with an 87.50 points percentage. Because of this loss, that lead has violently shrunk to 77.7%.
That's a huge drop.
Massive. They are now barely breathing ahead of South Africa at 75%.
And Bangladesh, what about their standing?
Bangladesh has surged to 66.67%. They've cemented 4th place and jumped right over India and Sri Lanka. But The big question the cricket world is asking.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
It's about the mechanics of Cummins' decision.
Was choosing to bowl first a catastrophic misread of the Darwin conditions?
It seems like it because Bangladesh capitalized immediately. For a team that failed tours in 2003 and 2008 and had literally never won in Australia, this doesn't just put points on the board. It fundamentally redefines Bangladesh as a touring side capable of dismantling elite opposition in their own backyard.
Well, misreading the pitch in Darwin costs you a cricket match. But misreading the environment in Eastern Europe costs infrastructure and lives. Finally, we shift focus globally to an unprecedented escalation in the air war. According to CNN, Ukraine has launched one of its largest drone barrages of the entire conflict, sending over 800 drones across 17 different Russian regions.
That is an overwhelming swarm strategy.
It really is.
Yeah.
187 of those drones were intercepted over the Moscow region alone. But a major target that was hit was a massive 250,000 square meter wild berries warehouse near Moscow, which was just engulfed in a massive fire.
Wow.
Yeah, and Ukraine claims this facility directly supports Russian military logistics. There were casualties on both sides, and in immediate retaliation, Russia launched severe ballistic missile strikes on Kyiv, Kremenchuk, and Sumy.
If you look at the underlying mechanics of this offensive, it represents a drastic strategic shift born out of deep vulnerability. President Zelensky stated that Russia fired over 1,500 drones and bombs at Ukraine in a single week.
A week? That's relentless.
But here's the most alarming detail. Ukraine's Air Force admitted they failed to intercept any of the ballistic missiles fired at them overnight. None.
Wait, so they're throwing everything they have at Russian soil because they literally can't defend their own sky?
Precisely. You see the desperation in the strategy. Ukraine is striking deep into Russian logistics, hitting the economic infrastructure they argue fuels the war effort, while simultaneously begging their European partners to release interceptor stockpiles to defend their own cities.
It's an incredibly high-risk offensive.
Very high risk.
And it all comes back to how these narratives are constructed and controlled. From police logs contradicting government statements in Delhi, to the delayed revelation of a high-speed missile aimed at the capital, to Ukraine masking defensive vulnerability with an offensive swarm. Today's stories force us to ask a difficult question.
Exactly. Think back to that audio mixing board we talked about at the start. How much of what we accept as the official narrative depends entirely on who currently has their hands on the sliders? And what happens to the mix when the facts eventually catch up and the truth gets too loud to ignore?
Something to keep in mind the next time you read the headlines. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.